Today I'm going to review this book, 12 Rules for Life by Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, and I'm going to do a review about it with a focus on habits. I want to go through the book, I'm going to take a look at the rules, and I'm going to talk about why they resonate so much with habit building, building up good habits, quitting bad habits, and getting rid of addiction. Hey, it's Filip from Habit Bootcamps, and I like the work of Dr. Jordan B. Peterson because he focuses so much on setting goals, taking responsibility, changing your life, and cleaning up your room. If you don't know about Jordan B. Peterson yet, in the description you can find out more about him, his channel, and all the great work he's doing. In this video, I'm gonna go through the 12 Rules for Life in his great book, 12 Rules for Life. Check it out if you haven't bought it. Most of the book is about taking responsibility, developing truthful speech, having honest communication with yourself and with other people, and how to live a meaningful life. So it's a great book. It's a bestseller on Amazon. Definitely check it out. There's a lot of wisdom in that book. In this video, I'm just going to talk about the different sections in this book and how it relates to building habits. That's why I resonate so much with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, because he talks about building up your life incrementally. So let's take a look at the rules and why they relate so much to building habits and how you could also change your life through changing your habits. I've highlighted some things in chapters in the book, so let's take a look at the 12 rules for life and which one relate to habits. Let's talk about the first chapter. The first chapter is about stand up straight with your shoulders back, which is about develop a meaningful, strong posture, not only physically, but also mentally. I'm going to quote him. Routine is so necessary. The acts of life we repeat every day needs to be automized. They must be turned into stable and reliable habits so they lose their complexity and gain predictability and simplicity. Some research states that about 40 to 60% of our daily behaviors are habits. So it's very important that we build up good habits so we have that stability despite the chaos, despite things that are going on in our life. So we need a routine. A routine is essential to go through the day. That makes our decisions and the choices we have to make moment to moment, day by day, a bit less complex. Number 2, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Now, this also speaks for itself. The reason why I focus on habits is it's something you can take responsibility for. It's something you can change. You can change some good habits. You can stop some bad habits. Jordan B. Peterson says, start with yourself, take care of yourself. Now, this is something which is under your control. Not changing the world or other things in the environment. No, it starts with you, with your behavior, how you think, with our mental habits, and the acts that you do each day. Rule number 3 is make friends with people who want the best for you. Doesn't relate so much to habits, mostly has to do with who you surround yourself with. Jim Rohn said you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so that also elevates your mindset if you surround yourself with the right people. Rule number 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Called upon properly, the internal critic will suggest something to set in order, which you could set in order, which you would set in order voluntarily, without resentment, even with pleasure. Ask yourself, is there one thing that exists in disarray in your life or your situation that you could and would set straight? If I ask people what they could change in their life, what habit they could pick up or drop, you already know the answer. You know some little small things, but consistent things, regular behaviors and habits that you do that are not serving you. And you know some other habits you could start picking up. You could start small, but you already have the answer. This is the power of taking control of something that deep down inside your conscious or your gut feeling already knows. 500 small decisions, 500 tiny actions. Compose your day, today and every day. Could you aim 1 or 2 of these at a better result? Better in your own private opinion, by your own individual standards. This again shows the power of habits, small decisions, small steps that you do consistently, but are important in your life. If you would just improve those small little things, make better decisions, you could already clean up your room, which basically is saying improve your life, take responsibility for the small things you could improve. Aim small. Thus you set the following goal. By the end of the day, I want things in my life to be a tiny bit better than they were this morning. Then you ask yourself, what could I do that I would do that would accomplish this? So don't overestimate yourself, especially in the beginning. You don't have to massively change your lifestyle or all the habits that you do. Start small, aim small, little things, cleaning up your room, cleaning up your desk, drinking water in the morning, walking 5 minutes outside each day as exercise, and build them up. It's super important. And you do the same thing tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. And with each day, your baseline of comparison gets a little higher, and that's magic. That's compound interest. Do that for 3 years, and your life will be entirely different. This is the magic of changing your life with habits. It won't magically change your life, but all those incremental steps that you take, that compound interest of making the right decisions, taking the right actions, making the right choices, if you do this every day, every week, every year, over 3 years, your life can be completely different. That is also why I focus on changing habits, and I do a new habit challenge each month. Even if only 6 of those habits stick, but you keep on doing these consistently, you could change your life radically. It is your actions that most accurately reflect your deepest beliefs. Those that are implicit, embedded in your being, underneath your conscious apprehensions and attitudes and surface level self-knowledge. You can only find out what you actually believe, rather than what you think you believe, by watching how you act. You simply don't know what you believe before that. You act out your values, like Jordan Peterson says. You can promise that you're going to do something or say to other people that you do something, but you can't bullshit yourself. You act out your truth, consciously or unconsciously. If you take a look at what you do, where you spend your time, you know what you value. So take a look at where you're spending your time and what you're doing. Not what you're thinking or what you intend to do. No, what you're really doing, and then start being humble and realistic with yourself. What are you paying attention to? That is your personal God. The things that you pay attention to, that are your values. Maybe there are some things that you don't agree with, but you act them out. That is often what we do when we act out bad habits and bad addictions. It feels like we have no control, but the first step is taking a look, being aware, and then at least we can give a different response. We cannot say that we don't know it anymore. Because ignorance is a bliss, because we never know that we're responsible or can try something and do something different. But with habits, when we become aware of our patterns, then we know that we act out something, and then we can choose to consistently take a different step and do a different behavior. Pay attention. Focus on your surroundings, physical and psychological. Notice something that bothers you, that concerns you, that will not let you be, which you could fix and that you would fix. You can find such things by asking yourself, ask if you genuinely want to know, is that something I could fix? Would I actually be willing to fix it? If you find the answer is no to any or all of the questions, then look elsewhere. Aim lower. Search until you find something that bothers you, that you could fix, that you would fix, and then fix it. That might be enough for the day. Do this every day for a while. Now you will be asking yourself habitually, what could I do that I would do to make life a little better? So that's the small things that we can do. We can have that intention that we want to change things. Maybe it's too big. Maybe that dragon is too big and we can't face it at the moment. We have to hone our strength, build up our willpower more to then finally face that huge dragon. But we can aim smaller, or another habit that we would be able to do and keep up and build up that momentum. That's also why we speak of habitable order. The word habit is in the word habitable order. It's something that builds us up and that we fall back onto. Rule number 5 is do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them, which is more a chapter about raising children and helping them take responsibility for their lives. So this is a chapter that's less involved with habits. Rule number 6, set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Are there things that you could do, that you know you could do, that would make things around you better? If the answer is no, here's something to try. Start to stop doing what you know to be wrong. Start stopping today. Don't waste time questioning how you know that what you're doing is wrong if you are certain that it is. Inopportune questioning can confuse without enlightening, as well as deflecting you from action. You know that something is wrong or right without knowing why. Watch what happens over the days and weeks. Just fix what you know you could fix. Don't try to overanalyze or think things through. You want to act things through. Start to act on what you know you could change and what your inner truth is. Don't want to become stuck at analysis paralysis and what I could do and thinking about it. You've been there long enough. You're aware now of what is wrong, what little thing you could fix. So start acting. Start gathering momentum. Don't be motivated. Just take action, change your life, be realistic with yourself, and get started. A very important chapter is rule number 7. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. We cannot invent our own values because we cannot merely impose what we believe on our souls. As I talked about before, we can't think our values into being. We act them out. It's by what we do repeatedly, what gets reinforced, we become what we practice, and we also become some things that we practice that we actually don't want to be, but we act it out. So if we have a truth, if we have some values, which for all purposes is your personal God, that becomes your value and that becomes your truth that is acted out. So we don't have to think ourselves into becoming a different person. We want to actually do it and do it consistently. We can produce abstracted representations of potential modes of being. We can produce an idea in the theater of the imagination. An idea has an aim. It wants something. It posits a value structure. An idea believes that what it is aiming for is better than what it has now. It reduces the world to those things that aid or impede its realization, and it reduces everything else to irrelevance. An idea defines figure against ground. An idea is a personality, not a fact. When it manifests itself within a person, it has a strong proclivity to make of that person its avatar, to impel that person to act it out. So you need a direction. You need that better you, that better behavior, that better truth that you know. But that has to become the future you, your new avatar, and you're gonna back it up with the behavior that you do daily. You can't put on your mask of ignorance anymore. That is the new you, that is the person who you want to be. And first you envision what that person is, what he will do, how he will act. And then you're gonna take a look at what kind of behaviors you would change or what that person does, and then you're gonna become that person. In the beginning, it's a bit acting and reinforcing, but then your behavioral patterns, your lifestyle will match up to that vision of that better you and that person who lives up to his truth that he or she knows is right. Good habits, no bad habits, and no addictions. Or at least more good habits, less bad habits, and less addictions. Whatever was at the top of an individual's moral hierarchy was, for all intents and purposes, that person's ultimate value, that person's God. It was what that person acted out. It was what that person believed most deeply. So that is why having that vision, knowing who you want to be, taking a look at where you are, what you're doing really well, but especially what you're not doing really well, and you know that you could change it, and then changing it, and then your values and your religion, which basically are the values that you act out consciously or unconsciously, will change. Rule 8, tell the truth or at least don't lie. If instead you tell the truth, your values transform as you progress. So it's all important to have honest conversations with yourself, to see what you're doing, to become aware of your patterns. It's confronting in the beginning because you never had that honest conversation with yourself up until now. And you're surprised by all these things that you're actually doing. But that's the start of a conversation. Then you can start developing your own personal truth and start having truthful conversations with yourself. So it's a process of developing a dialogue with yourself, not a monologue of how you've been living, especially if you've been resentful and you don't like the life you're living. It's time to investigate and become aware of your patterns. Rule number 9, assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't. Listening is paying attention. Thinking is listening to yourself. So you have to learn to give and take and to modify your premises and adjust your thoughts. even your perceptions of the world. Sometimes it results in the defeat and elimination of one or more internal avatars. They don't like to be defeated or eliminated either. They're hard to build, they're valuable, they're alive, they like to stay alive. They'll fight to stay alive. It's one of the tragedies that we cling to what's familiar, even if some familiar things for us are negative. So that self-image, that avatar that we have, that addiction, that clinging to bad behaviors is strong. We've been reinforcing this so long, such a long period, so many repetitions. So we have an internal struggle of going for that person who we want to be, building up that new avatar, or staying the same person as we are now, even though we're unhappy or unfulfilled or live an unmeaningful life, but at least it's predictable. And humans and the brain like predictability. So it will be a struggle, but the first part is listening to yourself, and thinking is listening to yourself. So instead of just only listening to yourself thinking, start to have a dialogue with the way how you think. Because thinking is a way of talking to yourself. So make that talk with yourself a dialogue. Rule number 10, be precise in your speech. Why remain vague when it renders life stagnant and murky? Well, if you don't know who you are, you can hide in doubt, particularly if you refuse to think about it, and you have every reason not to. But not thinking about something you don't want to know about doesn't make it go away. If you really investigate your behavior, what you do, and what kind of values it signifies, and how meaningful your life is, you can't be ignorant anymore. Then at least you know. Sometimes ignorance is easy because we act like, I didn't know, I have no control over it. But when you will really start looking at your life, what you're doing, and start developing a conversation with yourself based on honest truth and speech, you will be surprised. But that's actually fantastic, because that means that you can change things. It will be painful to see the decisions and the actions that you do, but becoming aware of them and having the ability to change them is really something that gives hope and that you could look forward to, because it's something under your control. Why refuse to specificity when specifying the problem would enable its solution? Because to specify the problem is to admit that it exists. Because to specify the problem is to allow yourself to know what you want. Then you will know precisely and cleanly when you don't get it, and that will hurt sharply and specifically. But you will learn something from that and use what you learn in the future. You must speak forthrightly and call forth the habitable world from chaos. You must use honest, precise speech to do that. That is why Jordan Peterson stresses honest speech so much. If you don't have that compass to navigate your own personal truth, see what you do, what you tell yourself, and what you actually do, and you can course correct along the way, you will have a faulty compass. So truthful speech and honest conversation with yourself is crucial. You must determine where you have been in your life so that you can know where you are now. If you don't know where you are precisely, then you could be anywhere. Anywhere is too many places to be, and some of those places are very bad. You must determine where you have been in your life, because otherwise you can't get to where you're going. You can't get from point A to point B unless you are already at point A. That is why he always focuses on envisioning a future where you would be a better you, and taking a look at where you're at right now, and then also running away from a future that you want to avoid. That way you can plot your course, that way you can navigate. But it starts with taking a look where you want to go, where you are now, what's holding you back, and what you want to avoid. That way you can navigate along the way and really chart your course. Act out what you say so you can find out what happens. Then pay attention, notice your errors. Articulate them, strive to correct them. That is how you discover the meaning of your life. So related to habits, build good habits, break bad habits, get rid of addiction. See what kind of habits, the person who you would like to be, who you want to be. What kind of habits and behavior would he or she do? What are you doing right now? What are some negative things that you're doing right now that you know it would lead to a terrible, resentful, unmeaningful future? You could change these things. Take a look at it. Have a conversation with yourself. Follow your conscience and gut feeling. You already know what you can change. And that is how, with truthful speech, taking responsibility, developing a meaningful mindset, setting goals, becoming aware, and small steps, taking consistently with that compound interest, with that incremental success, you can really change your life. But it starts from where you are now, becoming aware, getting rid of negative patterns, and building up good habits. That way, you become who you want to be by practicing what you want to become and not practicing what you don't want to become. Rule number 11 is do not bother children when they are skateboarding. Haven't linked that to habits, but it's also about taking responsibility, learning about the harder parts in life, expressing yourself, and then getting feedback, and then knowing how to deal with the harsh realities in life and putting yourself out there and not being overprotective of yourself or of your friends or your children. And the last rule, rule number 12, pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. Put the things you can control in order. Repair what is in disorder and make what is already good better. So this is what I wanted to talk about, why I think this relates so much to building habits. This is something you can repair. This is something under your control. This is something, if you take a look at your life, you can really change. That is why I resonate so much with the message of Jordan Peterson. Sometimes people don't know where to start, how they can fix yourself, where to start, how to clean their room. It has to do with taking responsibility and changing your life from the inside out, taking personal responsibility. To help you with this, I've also made a goal getter guide, which you can download down below. It really has the whole process of going from purpose to vision to key areas in your life that you would like to change and that you want to change. Looking at the main focus in that key area, then make it into a goal and making it into habits if possible. That way, we make it very practical. You can start looking at the person who you want to be and then zooming in on the behaviors that you could change, making it into building up good habits, breaking bad habits, and just changing them one by one. So if this can help you taking responsibility and change your life, down below you can just download the guide for free. It got it all mapped out, the whole process, with some extra tips that could help you really make sure you set the right goals in the right direction and also make it manageable that you will achieve them. Because I'm not about the magic change or the magic pill. I'm about building up willpower, good habits, daily consistent behavior and actions that will make sure you can rely on them and become a better you and a better person with a meaningful mindset. So this was my review about the great book, 12 Rules for Life. Read it yourself. I think it's a great book to teach you a meaningful mindset and take responsibility. Very inspirational, also with a lot of spiritual stories, also from the Bible, which focuses on the value of stories, the value of these morals, the value of the story you tell yourself and your own values. If you read the book 12 Rules for Life, let me know what you learned from the book, which rule resonated the most with you, what practical thing did you start implementing when you read the book, because I'm not all about concept and mindset. I'm really about making it practical and really changing your life, taking responsibility. So how did you fix yourself, started taking responsibility for your life and cleaning your room? Let me know by dropping a comment below. I'm also going to do a review of this book on productivity and how you can do much more in less time. And remember, when you change your habits, you truly can change your life. Hey, it's Phil, and if you like my channel, don't forget to subscribe and check out some more videos about how to build good habits, break bad habits, and get rid of addiction.